They are the fastest of the fast, the quickest of the quick, and the baddest of the bad. They are the ultimate of the breed. Awesome, force-fed, nitrous gulping machines capable of hurling down the quarter mile in less than 10 seconds at speeds faster than 150 miles per hour. They are the Mustangs and the drivers that the fans pack the grandstands to watch. Quite simply, they are America's fastest 5-liter Mustangs. The 5-liter V8 Ford Mustang exploded on the performance world in the mid-'80s, and drag racing hasn't been the same since. From the beginning, the 5-liter Mustang drew a dedicated and loyal following that liked to race heads up and all out. These machines quickly evolved from stock-condition 14 Second Street vehicles into fire-breathing assault weapons that could burn up the scoreboards with single-digit ETs. Today, if you want to run with the top guns, your Mustang had better be capable of at least high 8-second elapsed times. And those at the cutting edge are rapidly approaching the 7-second zone. Today, we're going to take a look at the wildest 5-liter Mustangs and drivers in the sport. We'll see what it's like to run with the quickest, how they got there, and what advice they have for the up-and-coming 5-liter racer. We caught up with some of these teams at a recent shootout at Maple Grove Raceway outside Reading, Pennsylvania. Without a doubt, one of the founding fathers of the 5.0 Mustang shootout world was Stormin Norman Gray. In early 1987, Gray became one of the first 5-liter Mustangs to experiment with nitrous oxide, which he had installed on his brand new 87 convertible by Roush Racing. Somewhere along his quest for the fastest Mustang in America, Gray decided it was time to give serious 5.0 racers a showcase to highlight their car's awesome performance. He created the Stormin Norman Invitational, a match race format competition that paired up the quickest 5.0 Mustangs in the country by ET capability. The Invitational became just one of several major races on the 5.0 Mustang shootout circuit, which currently includes races in St. Louis, Houston, Memphis, and Bradenton, Florida. Recently, Gray has made a break from the world of fuel injection. He replaced his Stang's DFI fuel injection with a pair of 4-barrel carburetors. At the 96 Stormin Norman Invitational, with Gary Cooper behind the wheel, Stormin Norman's car ran at 846 at 162 miles per hour. With a few changes, Gray hopes to put his Stang into the 790s.
My car ran last year, ran 830 on fuel injection with DFI. We've eliminated the DFI, we've eliminated the fuel injection. We put 2 big Chuck Newton carburetors on it on a Hogan intake, and sort of like a baby Pro stock, and we're looking to go 790s. The kids are going to see that I run good with carburetors, they're all going to go to carburetors. It's cheap, it's easy to maintain, you don't need a dyno, you don't need all these fancy trick things, computers. You can just take a screwdriver, set it up, look at your plugs, adjust them, and you're going to go fast. You're going to have 1 million 8-second cars next year.
Brian Golck's red 83 GT went from a daily-driven high school cruiser to an all-out 8-second machine that blasts through the traps at more than 150 miles per hour. With the technical expertise of his father, Bernie, of Muscle Mustangs and Fast Ford's Ask Bernie fame, Brian slowly massaged his Mustang from a 13-second carbureted street strip car into one of the fastest ponies on the planet. Golck's 83, which was rebodied as a 93 Cobra, is powered by an A4 302 block that currently displaces 355 cubic inches. It's got ported Yates NASCAR heads and a pair of Lincoln Mark 8 throttle bodies on a custom Indy sheet metal intake manifold. This small block is set up to consume a 3-stage nitrous oxide system and rests on a Griggs tubular K-member. The car's original T5 trans was long ago replaced by a dynamic C4 automatic. By the '94 season, the Golcks decided that a major chassis reinforcement was also necessary. An S&W ladder bar rear, cage, and subframe kit were installed. A 9-inch strain spool, 33 spline axles, and 12.5-inch wheels and tires rounded out the Cobra's stout chassis. At the '96 Stormin Norman Invitational, the Golcks tied for low ET by running their quickest time ever, a smoking 8:78 at 155 miles per hour. And this father-son team isn't done yet.
We came at this event a little on the slow side, thinking that maybe if we brought it in a little at a time, we would get a little bit of weather to come to us and we'd get the right combination of nitrous pills and fuel and timing. And we just worked at it real slow without hurting anything, and it paid off. And we ran our fastest ever. And I don't know if the number is right, but I think we've got low ET at the meet so far. With an 878 with a 4 at 155.95. So my son is pretty happy, and possible if we win the next round and win the match, he might give you an interview. He don't want to jinx himself.
We got the thing going right now where it leaves hard and runs quick all the way down the track. It's fun, and I'm really going to enjoy the competition today because really the best Mustang drivers are here today.
Most people that own and drive street-powered Ford cars, Mustangs, Explorers, vehicles that can be considered daily drivers in family use, like to associate with cars that appear street-looking, although modified, so that they can get back in their Mustang, put a few things on it, and say, hey, I've got the same thing he does. I'm driving a Mustang Cobra, or a GT, or an LX.
When Turbo Don Schnetzer first began with turbocharging his '90 Mustang GT in 1991, he found himself in a crowd of one. Becoming a pioneer in the field of turbocharged 5-liter Mustangs meant he didn't have a successful team or proven combination to emulate. But Don's come quite a long way since his first 13-second turbocharged pass at Atco Raceway in Atco, New Jersey. His '90 GT has a 306 cubic inch small block with a set of TFS heads. It's fed by a Kartech Outlaw kit single turbo and intercooler. Turbo Don runs this setup at 27 pounds of boost. It's backed by a Powerglide transmission. The chassis features a ladder bar rear suspension and mini tubs. After running consistent 920s, Turbo Don recently added a new camshaft, Kartech 6-core intercooler, and 3-inch exhaust pipe. On his very first run with the new combination, he broke into the 8s with an 898 at 152 miles per hour.
We put the turbo system on back in 1991, our original turbo system, and a friend of mine offered to take my car down on a trailer to the racetrack down at Atco, New Jersey. And we ran it, I think I only ran it one time that night, and it turned to 1367, I believe. And I knew from that point on that that was what I wanted to do. That it would be a drag car, and it would always be turbocharged.
1996 may have been Mark Harwell's rookie season as a driver, but he's no stranger to 5.0 shootout racing. Harwell, who's part owner of Kartech Manufacturing, has followed the scene through the cars of Kartech customers, including Turbo Don Schnetzer. But for '96, Harwell decided to get in on the fun with a car of his own, an '84 LX that was upgraded with 1990 body panels. Harwell's LX is powered by a '96 vintage 5-liter with dark cast iron heads. The Stang is used as a research and development test bed for the latest Kartech products, and so it's fitted with a Kartech Stage 2 fuel injection system, Outlaw turbo, and 3-core intercooler. This engine is backed by an Art Car C4 automatic and a Ford 9-inch rear with 350 gears. Mark attended several of the major shootouts during his inaugural season, including races in Bristol, Bradenton, and Houston, where he came away with a victory. With the single Kartech turbo, Harwell has clocked the best ET of 968 at 144 miles per hour. That time was run with approximately 20 pounds of boost. With more boost, Harwell is looking to run in the 920s.
know, every time I'd sponsor a car or something like that, somebody'd always get in money problems and have to sell their car. So we just decided to put one together real quick. This one here had flowers growing on it in the inside, and I bought it out of a field. Didn't have any parts on the front, no K-member, no rear end. So we put some money into it and got it fixed up. It's not like the most prettiest car in the world, but for the budget we're on, you know, we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to put into a car. Most of it's out of my own pocket. Anything I get done for free is obviously anything I can make in my own shop. Other than that, I got to buy parts just like everybody else.
What separates Jim Wohlford's 85 GT from other cars in the 5.0 shootout world is its undeniable streetability. With ETs in the 960s, his charcoal gray beauty runs with the best of them. But Wohlford wanted to have his cake and eat it too. So his GT, which he bought new at age 18, retains all of its street-legal equipment, including full exhaust, factory interior, and 430 rear gears. Wohlford proves his car's streetability status on a regular basis by competing in muscle Mustangs and Fast Ford's True Street events. The True Street shootouts require entrants to drive their Stangs on a 50-mile road tour and then make 3 consecutive passes without any tuning, cooling, or refueling. Wohlford's engine is a 357 cubic inch stroker with TFS aluminum heads that's fed by a huge Holley 4-barrel carburetor. It gets a boost from a Top Gun Nitrous oxide kit. But even more amazing is that all of this engine's power is harnessed through a 5-speed Doug Nash manual transmission. While many other racers in this class have opted for a C4 or Powerglide automatic, Wohlford remains dedicated to racing his 9-second Mustang with a stick shift. Wohlford's future plans call for laying down a pass deep into the 9s with his 85 and then pulling it off the shootout circuit and detuning it to daily driver status.
Yeah, this car's going back on the street. I'm pulling all the race stuff out of it. I bought this car new when I was 18, and I'm going to take the cage out of it and make it a daily driver again that I can take to the lake and go have fun in and enjoy on the street. Going to get another body and do a race car, cut up another car. Somebody's blown up 4-cylinder notchback or something. Yeah, this car is going to stop right here, so that limits me. I can only go so. I'm making power, I got a lot of horsepower, but I can't hook it really well with this heavy chassis. I'm sure that with some tuning and some practice I'll be able to. That's where I'm looking now, is in the chassis. I got the horsepower that I've wanted. Now I've got to try to put it to the track.
For the Briante racing team, 5.0 drag racing is a family affair. Brothers Jim and Anthony Briante were introduced to the Mustang racing world by their father in the mid-1980s, and there's been no turning back since then. While the Valhalla, New York-based team fields a pair of single-digit ET Mustangs, recently it has been the Briante's Blue 80 LX that has been capturing most of the attention. The LX, which started life as a 4-cylinder pony, has been updated with body panels and interior from a 1989 Mustang. It's powered by a 372 cubic inch engine that's based on a 351 block. A set of Yates heads were modified for high flow, and a 2-stage nitrous injection system supplies extra horsepower. The engine's topped by a modified 750 CFM Holley 4-barrel carb that sits on an SVO intake manifold. Transmission is a dynamic-built C4 automatic. After a frustrating 95 season marked by a series of mechanical failures, the Briantes returned to the 96 shootout scene with a vengeance. At the Muscle Mustang Spring Break Shootout, the LX ran hard and qualified with an 888. A month later, at the North-South Shootout in Rockingham, North Carolina, the Briantes were the quickest and fastest Mustang at the race with an 860 at 160 miles per hour.
Well, my father got my brother and I into racing back in the mid-'80s, and from there it just progressed. I bought this car when I was 17 years old and progressed from a little 302 street banger, used to run 1090s through the mufflers, and just wanted to go faster and faster. Ended up cutting the car up and put a big piece in it, and that's where we are now. Well, you know, when you look, if you take a look back at how a lot of the pro classes started, they started just like this one has. A group of guys got together, they thought they had a good idea, and they started setting up races all over the country, and I think it's a testament to how well this is going, just judging by the following we're getting at the different races that we travel to. And, Yeah, it's about as, I would carry this probably on the same type of lines as a comp eliminated style class. There's a lot of fine tuning that has to go into these cars. They're very temperamental, and it's hard to run consistently week in and week out.
Ask anyone about Joe and Paul Silva, and they'll tell you the two brothers are among the nicest guys in 5.0 drag racing. Joe and Paul hail from outside Toronto, Ontario, where they run the J&P Performance Race Shop. The two started their business after building quick Mustangs for themselves and their like-minded friends. Their interest in 5-liter shootout racing grew out of a trip to the Ford Motorsport Nats more than 8 years ago. At the time, watching the quickest Mustangs turn elapsed times in the low 11s was nothing less than amazing. The brothers' combinations are similar. Joe's red 86 LX is powered by a 332 cubic NOAC stroker engine that's fed by a Holley 4-barrel carb. Nitrous oxide is delivered via a CompuCar dual-stage plate system. It's backed by a dynamic C4 automatic trans with a 9-inch rear and ladder bar suspension. Paul's yellow 87 LX is also powered by a 332 cube NOAC stroker with a Holley 4-barrel. Its nitrous oxide comes from an NOS fogger setup. Transmission is a Jericho 4-speed. Both Mustangs are capable of covering the quarter mile in the high 8s and seem to be getting quicker with each passing race. At a recent Stormin Norman Invitational, Paul was low qualifier and tied for low ET with an 8.78.
It's tough. I mean, you get ready, you're trying to do the shop work, and you're trying to get all the race cars. And this we dreamed about it all our lives.
We also show a lot of the driving coming to the track, and when we were younger, we used to talk about this. We used to build little sardine cans with little. We used to put a couple extra caps in the back, bigger caps for bigger wheels, and
so this is our dream come true. It is what we want. I mean, we live for this. I mean, we just put our motors together Thursday night, so we'll do whatever it takes to get here. And if the cars break, we'll do whatever it takes to fix them if we have the parts.
While the lion's share of the attention gets focused on cars and drivers that run 8 seconds and quicker, it's the racers just a few steps behind them who represent the future of 5-liter heads-up racing. Racers like Pottstown, Pennsylvania's Bob Hanlon, who recently entered the Mustang shootout world with an 83 GT he bought new. Hanlon's combination is unique because his engine does not run a nitrous oxide system, a supercharger, or a turbo. The engine is built on a 351 Windsor block that currently displaces 357 cubic inches and is topped by a modified 750 CFM Holley 4-barrel carb on a custom manifold. This engine is backed by a Tremec 5-speed with a Ram adjustable clutch and Pro 5.0 shifter. The ladder bar rear suspension works with a 9-inch rear and 513 gears. Hanlon debuted the new combination in early '96 at the Mustang Grand National Team race in Raceway Park near Englishtown, New Jersey, and won. His second race was the Stormin Norman Invitational, where Hanlon also won his match. After only 6 full passes, Hanlon's GT had run a best of 10:14 at 137 miles per hour and was looking to dip into the 980s.
Well, the transmission that's in the car is a pro-shifted design. Instead of working on the inside of the synchronizer slider, it works on the outside. It's what they call a phase-two type. The slider is somewhat castellated. It's hard to miss a gear with it. It's not a clutchless box. You still have to use a clutch. It works very well. It is
like driving it.
It is really, actually, somebody wanted to try to drive it on the street. It is somewhat drivable.
Pete Misinsky's Nitrous nickname is left over from his early racing days. Since joining the Mustang shootout crowd, Nitrous Pete's cars have always had a Vortex supercharger. He was a pioneer in the world of heads-up 5.0 racing and traveled to races across the country to promote the cars. Pete's main race Stang, an 89 GT with a Vortex blown 306, has run in the 880s. Recently, while this car was getting fitted with a 4-link rear suspension, Pete raced his wife's 90 LX. This mild combination features a small block with DFI injection and a Vortex Mondo blower. It's backed by an Art Car C4 automatic and has run in the mid-9s. With this car, Misinsky won his match race at the '96 Stormin Norman Invitational. While mid-9s put his wife's LX right in the middle of the pack, Misinsky was eager to return to action in his '89 and continue his attack on the prestigious 7-second barrier.
I didn't expect to go 8s. My best ET has been an 880, and I never thought I'd go that fast. No, but now I want to go faster. I mean, I definitely want to go 7s. I don't have the financial support for that now, but I definitely want to go 7s. That's why I'm having my my original car done to a 4-link now, so we have the chassis to go along with that. And in the meantime, we're running this. I wanted to be here with something, so threw this together in like a month or so, and here we are.
Mike Murillo of San Antonio, Texas is one of just a few racers whose Mustangs are equally at home in both True Street and Shootout class racing. With a Vortec R-trim blown small block, factory-style rear suspension, and C4 automatic trans, Murillo's '89 GT has run 980s at 138 miles per hour, while retaining its street-legal, street-drivable status.
We qualified for Muscle Mustangs and Outlaw class, and then we ran eliminations and put far too many runs on the car in one day. We ran 10 runs today, and 8 of them were within a 3-hour period. You know, we build our car to mainly be consistent and competitive, not to go out and make one killer pass and then break. We just basically tune it to where it'll just be consistent and not break anything.
Like several other racers in the Mustang Shootout class, Joe J.R. Granatelli of Paxton Superchargers has shown that you can indeed mix business with pleasure. Granatelli has been proving the performance of Paxton Superchargers in a variety of 5-liter Mustangs. Last season, Granatelli debuted Paxton's Novi 2000 blower at the Ford Motorsport Nats. Driving the red, white, and blue Paxton Summit Racing entry, Granatelli ran 950s at almost 140 miles per hour on his way to victory. More recently, he's been behind the wheel of George and Jesse Greco's Mustang, which promote both Greco Automotive and Paxton. The car is powered by a Greco-built 347 stroker that's topped by Paxton's gear-driven Novi 2000 supercharger that pumps out 30 pounds of boost. This combination has run 9 teams at 145 miles per hour.
Currently, right now, this car is running approximately 930s, 920s. The car's got a best of a 918, but it's a consistent 920 car. What we see for next year is a little bit bigger cylinder head. We have the fortune of working with Trick Flow, and we're going to put a set of the new twisted wedge racing heads on here. Right now, we're using the old design. We assume with those heads, we should pick up another 60 or 70 horsepower. From an engineering standpoint, if somebody told me how fast do you think this car will run, I would say these cars are capable of 740s. Regardless of horsepower, that's about where the limit's going to be due to aerodynamics.
Brothers Jimmy and Vic Keen's '87 GT is not only one of the sport's quickest cars, but also one of the most successful. Over the past few years, the Keynes have logged a victory at most of the major shootouts on the circuit, including the Super Stallion Roundup, the Stormin Norman Invitational, Front Ford Weekend, and several other events. The Crawford-built 347 wears a set of TFS heads and is controlled by a DFI engine management system. A Vortec Mondo J-trim blower forces air through a custom manifold and plenum. This engine has pushed the '87 to elapsed times in the 850s at almost 165 miles per hour. Texas turbo owner Otto-Jean Deputy got involved in the Mustang shootout world in '90 with a single-turbo '89 GT street car that ran low 10s. That car was retired and replaced with a full-bore twin-turbo race Stang that held the title of world's quickest and fastest 5.0 Mustang for quite some time. With its unique anteater-like intake protruding through its hood, Deputy's Stang quickly became the most recognizable 5-liter in the sport. The Texas turbo car is also unique in that its transmission is a Lenco 3-speed with a torque converter. Deputy frequently match races fellow 5-liter heavyweights Stormin Norman and Racin Jason Betwarda, and recently joined Betwarda as a charter member of the 7-Second Mustang Club.
If you look back here, there's a CO2 bottle. CO2 bottle controls the transmission to where you can shift it. Without the CO2 bottle, it will not shift, and it will not, you can't get it in and out of gear. This is a forward and reverser here with a neutral in the middle. Okay, you put it in neutral to start it. You push this button right here. That actuates the shifter, which makes a loud popping noise. As you, that allows you to be able to change gears. And then you leave it like this. You push this down. This acts as a trans brake also. You hold this down, and that allows the car to stall. And then you let off like that. That releases the trans brake. Pull there and pull there. And then hopefully you got a good time.
The undisputed pace setter of the Mustang shootout world is Racin Jason Betwarda, whose Mike Ragusa-driven GT convertible has run 770s at 185 miles per hour. It's powered by a 331 cubic inch engine that's force-fed by a pair of Duttweiler turbos and backed by a 2-speed Powerglide transmission. Even though at least one other Mustang has run 7s and several others soon will, Racin Jason's got the field covered by at least a 10th, at a level of performance where improvements are earned and measured in thousandths of a second. And while owning the world's quickest and fastest Mustang is a notable accomplishment, Betwarda's already busy with his next project, a bright red all-steel 93 coupe with a single turbo and 10-inch tires that runs low 8s.
It's a two back half car. Okay, it's got a 1733 Goodyear on it. It's got a Duttweiler twin turbo motor, and it's done by Turbo People. CNF race cars in Mount Vernon did the chassis, and we just came out today to run. We ran a best of 779 at 185, and hopefully this weekend it'll go, another 775 or so.
What brings you out to the Ford Motorsport Nationals here at Maple Grove?
Well, we came here last year and did real well in Stormin Norman's race, and we wanted to come this year and hopefully run some 770s and please the crowd. It's a great turnout, a lot of Fords, and we're real excited to be here.
More than a few of the nation's quickest 5.0 Mustangs hail from Texas, and Keb Papa Boomsma's LX Lawstang is one of the most popular. The instantly recognizable LX Law entry is powered by a 355 cubic inch small block with aluminum heads and a Nitrous Works Nitrous kit. This engine is backed by a performance automatic C4 trans. Boomsma has long been one of the quickest and fastest in the 5.0 shootout class, and today, his LX Law is capable of ETs in the high 8s at faster than 150 miles per hour.
The car runs 890s, 154 miles an hour normally. It's a 335 cubic inch motor, lots of nitrous, aluminum heads. This is where all the big name cars come for the Pro 5.0, what we call Pro 5.0 cars. They're back half cars and anything goes, as long as the car weighs 2,900 pounds. And that's all. That's the only rule that's concerned here. We don't bracket race. All we do is Ford shootouts.
When the East Coast small-tired cars were fighting for supremacy, Craig Radovich was experimenting with dual Vortex superchargers and blasting into the nines. Early on, Radovich established himself by being unafraid to try unusual combinations. And more often than not, what he tried worked. Together with Nitrous Pete, he pioneered a Nitrous supercharger combination that resulted in 10-second ETs for a street-driven Mustang. Today, Radevich is one of the major players in the 8-second zone. Recently, he's been driving John Yates' '89 Mustang, which is powered by a 306 small block that's based on an SVO block and fed by a Vortec Mondo blower. It's run a best ET in the 870s.
First 306 Mustang to run 870. Everybody else is big cubes, so a little bit small, so we're happy about that. I'm not saying big cubes are bad, but it's not bad. So how you doing? It's a 306 SVO block, Mondo blower, Has a API power glide lockup, and you know, just basically the heads are just minor port work, small cam in it, 590, 610, and just the car just runs good. Won a 123 short time on the back tires, so definitely is hooking.
Old Bridge, New Jersey resident Jimmy LaRocca is consistently one of the top 5 qualifiers in any Mustang shootout field. His nasty black 86 GT is powered by a 326 cubic inch small block that's fed by a Vortec Mondo blower. This engine is backed by a C4 automatic and gets its power to the ground through a ladder bar rear suspension and a set of 10-inch slicks. In order to remain eligible for the National Muscle Car Association's Super Street class, LaRocca's GT retains its full factory interior. Amazingly, this heavy Stang has run 870s at 150 miles per hour.
I'm just trying to stay together and go down the track and have fun. My main objective is not who I'm racing. I'm trying to get the car dialed in with the new setup. So that's my objective. I don't want to jinx myself. But we've been shutting the car down at 1,000 feet and it's been going 9-0, so if I can make a full pass, we'll be well into the 8s.
With each passing season, more and more Mustang racers join the ranks of America's fastest Mustangs. The shootout circuit continues to grow by leaps and bounds, with new races like the Super Stallion Roundup and Gateway Rumble being added each year. What's even more amazing is how these proud ponies continue to improve upon their already astounding performances. Just a few short years ago, a 5.0 Mustang that ran 10s was nothing short of miraculous. Today, the quickest and fastest Mustangs in America can cover the quarter mile in a little more than 7.5 seconds, with trap speeds approaching 190 miles per hour. And if the past is any indication, there's almost no limit to how quick these Mustangs will run.